it's a positive outcome for us. Allows us the potential to look at the market going forward. So I'm pleased from a footballing level. It was never my business to get involved in the reasons why or the legal side of it. I see it purely on the football level. So from my point of view, for the clubs moving forward, it's obviously a good thing.
From the head coach's point of view, what have the club's hierarchy said to you about January?
Nothing much, because it wasn't something to discuss at length until we knew the decision. So it would have been a waste of time to talk too much. The club have been working away, putting forward our case. I've been working away trying to get us doing okay on the pitch. And now it's a discussion that we can start taking up.
Can we now expect you to go for Jadon Sancho, Wilfred Zaha or Ben Chilwell?
I'm certainly not going to sit here today and go too far down any lines with that, but we'll see where we are. As I keep saying, I'm happy with the squad that we have here. I think we're doing okay. My job is always to focus on the next game and what's in front of us, and in terms of the bigger picture and what we do going forward, of course that's constant and it's sometimes fluid, so there are no absolute answers at this point, of course.
How does Olivier Giroud's situation impact on potentially going after another attacker?
It doesn't. I don't consider it at all. Just consider, as I say, the squad that I've got now, and in January now we can consider those options.
Chelsea have got a lot of plaudits this season, without the need for making transfers in the summer with the young players. But if there is a position or two you feel needs strengthened, is that something you can say today? What have you communicated to above position wise?
Again, I haven't had that conversation because we couldn't buy it. But what I will say is that the fact that people have given us a lot of credit, I think, is because probably they expected less of us. So I think we have to give credit to the group that are working now to get to where we got to. I still want more and still think we could have more points and be higher up the table. That's my feeling. As we go forward, of course, if I feel or we feel as a club that there are positions we can strengthen, then we would obviously look at that, as all big clubs do. That's why people expected less of us this season, because lots of clubs around us, below us, were spending 100 million or 150 million, and we didn't have that chance, and we lost Eden Hazard and we lost 2 number 9s. So that was obviously in everyone's mindset. Now the picture's slightly changed, and it's important that we get it right moving forward.
The last couple, Paul.
You face Everton at the weekend. What's your experience as both a player and a manager of coming up against a club that has just dismissed their manager?
Well, first of all, any trip to Everton is tough. I went there as a player many a time, and the atmosphere of the stadium, the support of their home fans is big. I'm sure there'll be a bounce effect for them, and they've got one of their heroes in charge of them for this game and in the short term or whatever. So I think we have to be very much on guard against a team that are feeling the way they are. We slightly had it with West Ham last week. There was a lot of talk about what bad form they were in, what it might be if they lost another game. And we lost the match, so there's a small reminder for us last Saturday, and this will be, as far as preparation from my point of view, exactly the same. What I'll tell the players, it's a dangerous team to play at this moment particularly.
Just a quick one about injury news. How is Tammy Abraham and also Antonio Rudiger? Can we expect to see him?
Tammy Abraham is good. He's good. He hasn't done much in between games, so we'll make sure of that in the morning. But at the moment, he's good. And with Tony, he's had a really good week of training. We had to get him some sort of match fitness kind of training, which he's gone through this week. So tomorrow comes too soon, but he's had a great week where he's on the verge.
Thank you.
Frank, you've met every challenge so far as a manager in terms of picking teams, winning football matches. How much would going into the transfer market be another big challenge for you as a manager?
Well, a challenge, yeah. And I suppose the one thing I felt that probably personally that affected me in the summer with the transfer ban is that when you come into a club, or when you want to go a certain way at a club, sometimes players you bring in and the attributes of them are key to that. And so I couldn't make any of those changes to bring players that I felt would help the way I want us to play. Going forward, I think that's something I will put forward to the club. It's a much bigger process now than just me making a decision on who we buy. It doesn't work that simply. So it won't be just myself that gets it right or wrong. But as a club, we'll have full discussions. I've got a very open conversation with Marina and the owner, so they know where I'm coming from. I know where they're coming from. Any recommendations I make to improve the squad will be, as I see, can improve us in the way and the shape we want to go. So yeah, it will be a challenge, and hopefully we can get it right.
And throughout your career, you'd have had a dressing room whereby, be it with you or another player, another star player was being linked with the club or came into the club. How did you react to that as a player? Did you always make you improve your game and say, I'm going to show him I'm still better than him, I'm going to keep my place?
Yeah, not as simply as that across my whole career, because it has slightly different feelings sometimes. But generally, yes, it did do that for me. When Roman Abramovich came to Chelsea, the landscape changed. Players came in my position from Makaleli from Real Madrid and Varane, etc. And it made me sit up and take notice and go, I want to show that I'm better than them. But not every player's the same. But what is the same is that you need a competitive squad. So as much as it's important who we bring in, it's as much important for me is that we keep the balance of the squad right. Because I don't just see the 11 players that start every game. I see the squad as 20 plus men that need to help us over the course of a season. So if we're going to bring in players potentially or players leave, it will be with the view from my point as manager that we go in the right direction.
Finally, a couple on the game tomorrow. First of all, Goodison Park will be a different place. Before it was kind of toxic. A lot of the fans did want Marco Silva out. Now, as you found at Chelsea, they'll be galvanised by a club legend. That makes life a lot more difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah, perfect timing, wasn't it? Wait for Chelsea to come along, and we'll change the manager. And it's an unfortunate. I don't like to joke too much because it's unfortunate for Marco Silva because every manager in this league is given everything to try and do the right things for the club, and we can't always control all the variables. It doesn't always work. So I feel for him on that note, and I'm sure he'll go on to manage well elsewhere. But yeah, from our point of view, we're coming against a team that will have certainly in the early parts of the game, and I think throughout the game tomorrow, maybe an extra energy to them because it's clubs rally at these moments, fans rally, and the players they will want to rally because the players will want to show what they can do. So it's going to be a tough match.
And finally, I know Wednesday was a big win for you over Villa. It's the start of a really big week now because you've said that people maybe underestimated you, didn't think you'd be as good as you are this season, but a win at Everton is perfect to go into Lille and qualify for the next stage of the Champions League.
Yeah, a big tester for us because I think generally we've been really good. I keep saying it. Our performances, even in defeat, have had a lot of positives. West Ham was the one game I felt the opposite to that. Now it's how we react. We reacted really well against Villa, but the top teams, the better teams, the teams that want to come in the top four, have a consistency to them. So that we can't just be small reactions. It has to be a consistent. So tomorrow's a nice sign for us. Can we go to a difficult game with lots of circumstances around it to make it even more difficult? And then can we get to the next stage of the Champions League? I think both things we want to do.
John, we have to rotate again, Frank, given we have one eye on Tuesday.
I'll see. you every week you seem to ask me like, who's my team's going to be? The other manager does read the headlines. You know what I mean? So no, we'll see. It's obviously my mind at a busy period in the year, but we'll see. Yeah.
In January, as a manager, do you think you need to bring players in, or is January a bad time sometimes to bring players in?
Depends on the player. You have to make the right moves as you see fit, and of course January is not always a time where we see the bigger deals. There have been some, but I'll take all things into account if we're going to make that move in terms of the balance of my squad. As I mentioned before, you don't want to affect that in any way in terms of the personnel you're bringing in, and it has to feel right and be for a positive reason because you feel it improves you. So I don't think it matters whether it's January or July or August. If a player's going to improve the squad, I think it's the right move at that point.
Just a couple of your players, Callum Hudson-Odoi, where are you with him at the moment? How far off do you think he is of being at his best as he was last season?
I don't think his best was last season. I think his best is to come because he's just turned 19. So he's in a real early stage of his development and come back from a really serious injury. So I've had to manage that with him. We've got competition in wide areas, and he's going to get better and better. He has to apply himself in training every day. He has to show when he comes on for periods of games what he can do and bring to the table if he's going to start more games. He will do that for sure. He will do that, but we have to be a little bit steady with Callum because of his age and because of the injury he's gone through.
And Ross Barkley, is he in the squad?
Yes.
Has he got a bit to prove to you?
As all the players have, train well, play well, and you're there, push the other players that are in the team if you're not quite in the team. Those are the rules for everybody.
Okay, cameras off please, David.